Good afternoon, 6-4 Owl parents. Mr. Hagedorn here with our weekly update, or 2 weeks, I guess, this time. First thing, we are completely out of tissues. If you could send in some tissues, that would be awesome. We got a lot of snotty kids and no tissues to help with that problem. So tissues, as many as you can send in, that would be awesome. We greatly appreciate it. Next week is a 2-day week. We got a nice 5-day break for Thanksgiving coming up. And then the following week is a normal 5-day week. So 2 days next week, 5 the following week. All right, Math 6 Plus. Next week, we are going to continue to talk about multiplying and dividing fractions before we head out for Thanksgiving break. After that, we're going to continue a little more with multiplying and dividing fractions and then talk about finding the volume of some 3D shapes where we're not talking about unit cubes. We're talking about some weird size cubes. So that can be kind of challenging, but we'll talk more about that after Thanksgiving. In Math 6, we're going to continue to talk about exponents next week. Talked a little bit about exponents today. And then after that Thanksgiving break, we're going to have our study guide for Unit 1. And then our quiz number 2 for Unit 1. And then we will move on to Unit 5, our decimals unit. All right, have a great weekend. We'll see you guys on Monday.
All right, 6-4 families, we spent this week on sound. It's really a focus on mechanical waves. We spent 3 days on sound stations. We had 8 stations that the kids went through. And then today we did a conclusion activity, but we are going to start off Monday and Tuesday of next week, and we're going to have students create an instrument from items they can find from around the home. So let me be very clear. Do not let your kid convince you that they have to go buy stuff at a store. You have to find crap around the house that you can put together to make an instrument that is free, like an empty tissue box. Okay, this could be perfect basis to an instrument. However, I will also have supplies in my room, so don't act like they have to go get them things. That's not the purpose of it. It's supposed to be something pretty simple. When we get back from Thanksgiving break, we're going to finish with mechanical waves, and then we're going to move into electromagnetic waves with a focus on light. So yeah, that's where we're headed. So we're going to finish sound, make an instrument, and then move into light.
All right, friends, let's talk language arts for a second. I'll put the language arts hat on this week. We have been working with the Good Master's Sweet Ladies story, and we're going to continue on with that. We read today Mog, the villain's daughter, and so you want to double check with your student if they have their gist statements done. There's a document there where they write 2 different statements about what's happening and who is it happening to in that story. So gist statement number 2 started today. Number 1 was turned in today. And the gist statement has 2 things they're going to write, 2 statements. Then there is a theme document where they're filling in a little bit of information about the adversity that the character is facing, where they see that a little bit in the story, and how it might relate to a kid in the modern world. The story is all about medieval voices, but the feelings and the situations and some of the themes very much could happen in our modern day world, and that's part of our conversation. So as we get into next Monday, we are going to continue. We're also talking about figurative language, and we did a little of that today. And so we're looking at these stories and how the author chooses to use figurative language. What does she mean when she uses that bit of figurative language? What does that do to the tone of the story, the word choices that she has? So we're going to talk a little bit about figurative language on Monday. We're going to continue with Mog, and then talk about her brother Jack and do a little gist and theme with that. And then we've got a little independent analysis assignment where they're going to read a story called Will the Plowboy and do some information on Canvas with that, all on Monday. Then on Tuesday, we're going to talk a little bit about Jews and Christians in medieval Europe. And so we'll talk a little bit about like background knowledge about how Jews were treated and what scapegoat kind of means as we understand what the Jews were dealing with. And then we'll read the story that's called Jacob ben Solomon, who's the moneylender's son, and Petronella. And that's one of the only stories in here that's a dialogue where there's 2 voices, not one voice. Most of them are monologues. two voices, then they go back and forth. So that'll be the first time we experience that, do a little gist and a little bit of a theme with that story. And then we'll be talking a little bit about Constance the Pilgrim, who is going to a holy site in Europe trying to find some relief from a bad back that she has. So that's what we're going to be doing next week for those 2 days. And then when we come back the week after Thanksgiving, we're just going to carry on ripping through our stories and finding out a little bit about these characters, making some cool gist statements and theme statements around good masters and sweet ladies. That's language arts. Social studies, very quickly. We just today finished our unit on religion. And so we talked today and a little bit yesterday about the three Chinese paths, or Buddhism, Confucianism, and Taoism. We looked at those kind of yesterday and today, talked a little bit about what they kind of mean and their ideas, their philosophy. We watched some clips from Kung Fu Panda and tried to decide, is that a Buddhist idea or a Taoist idea? And then on Monday, when we come back, we're going to start our next unit, which is called Achievement. And we'll be talking about innovation and invention and ways of making life easier through the ancient world. We're starting with writing, and we're going to talk a little bit about the invention of writing and the different types of alphabets that developed and why writing was such a monumental piece to human development. All right, and so we'll do 2 days of achievement and then come back after Thanksgiving and do achievement all the way up until the end of the quarter. Okay, so if you have any questions, any concerns, please let us know. If not, have a lovely weekend. See you next week.